Hello and welcome to your Thursday catch-up with This Is Ibrox. I'm your host, Kyran Wallace, and tonight I'm joined by the ever-brilliant Iain Mitchell. Thank you for joining us live, and please remember to give us a like and get involved in the comments. We'll get to the best of your questions and comments throughout the show. Iain, I'm not going to hang about here. We're just going to dive right in and get to the big news of today, and that's that Rangers have been linked with a £10 million move for Crystal Palace right winger Jesurun Rak-Sakyi. David Ornstein, who is a reporter for The Athletic, probably as solid a source you'll get around about the London clubs, the EPL, tweeted earlier, exclusive: Rangers make bid to sign Jesurun Rak-Sakyi from Crystal Palace. Offer for the 22-year-old winger, loan plus potential obligation to buy, up to £10 million, rejected by Crystal Palace. But Rangers pursue ongoing and interest from more clubs in England. Big news to me, and I think the bit that jumps out of that is the reported £10 million. Were you as shocked and as excited as I was by this one?
Shocked, definitely. The fact we're bidding £10 million for a player barely been seen in our lifetimes, to be honest. What Bartoli André Flo back in the day. So
EBTs are back, baby.
No, it's a weird one, but because in a way you're kind of waiting for that big statement signing, which I think a few of us have been paying for, because it was well documented, the £20 million investment, and we've spent a few million on Asgard, a few million on Gassama. There is money being spent, but that's not out with the norm for us. We usually spend that kind of amount on 2 or 3 players, usually a bit more. You look back the last few years, so I think we've been waiting for this big main signing, I want to say. And it fits what we need. I know we're going to come on to it more specifically, what we're looking for, but he could really be a game changer for us. Don't get me wrong, it's still a bit of a risk for me. I still would rather someone with a bit more experience and ability to be like the main man if he's coming in to be that guy, but there's no doubt the guy's potential, and the fact a £10 million bid is getting rejected, I think says a lot about how highly regarded he is at Palace. So I'd probably expect this to be that loan, maybe with an option. I think it would be ideal for us, but Palace have got another 6 weeks this transfer window. There's a lot of interest in him. They're not going to take the first offer, are they? So might drag on for a few more weeks yet.
Yeah, I think something that might go in our favour. I actually screenshotted it earlier. Quite a reliable Southampton site. Southampton have noted quite a heavy interest in them. If I remember correctly as well, looking back, I'm sure Russell Martin tried to get him on loan at Southampton and was priced out of quite a hefty loan fee. But Saints Extra on X had wrote, despite interest from Southampton, Liverpool and Coventry, Jesurun Rak-Sakyi would prefer a move to Rangers this summer, with Russell Martin the driving force behind the deal. So to me, that sounds very positive. And the other thing which stood out to me in the David Ornstein tweet was the offer of the potential loan to buy up to 10 million. So to me, that sounds like we're trying to structure a deal worth up to 10 million. Now, you don't know what that can kind of involves completely. But last year, he spent the season on loan at Sheffield United, made 36 appearances, 7 goals and 2 assists. Doesn't really jump out, but when you watch this guy play, he's big, he's powerful, he's quick, he's skillful, he's ticking a lot of boxes. It's certainly one to get excited here. I think I look back as well, the season previous, 22-23, 22-23, there was a other season he went out on loan to Charlton, 49 appearances, 15 goals and 9 assists. Very good figures. We've seen Gassama come on with that unbelievable cameo Tuesday night. He completely lit it up. He's the one that the fans, along with Asgard, I could go on record and say I've been excited about. But Rak-Sakyi fits that bracket as well. Bit of a statement, would you say?
Definitely, yeah. And as I say, I think it's one we're kind of waiting for, because we know how long we've needed a right winger. Czerny certainly played his part, was a very good signing, I think, but you always knew there was an expiry date there. It was never a long-term plan, and I think we've needed that, as you say, statements kind of maybe overused, but it would be a proper, oh, hello, the Rangers are serious this year, because this is a top talent. He's going to get better. His value could go up. It comes with that risk. It might go down as well. And again, it's not a surefire thing that every player from down south can come up and have a good impact, but the thing that does please in what you said there is the fact that Russell Martin's been quite a driving force in him wanting to come here, because obviously there was chat between Ancelotti or Russell Martin, and when it was Martin, don't get me wrong, I was quite happy about it, but that name wasn't quite as glamorous. I thought we might miss out on a couple of targets, because maybe naively I thought, it's like only Russell Martin. Is that going to drive players here the way a Gerrard did, the way that name might? So it's quite pleasing to see that someone's wanting to come for Russell Martin, obviously for Rangers as well, goes without saying, but it's quite a big bonus for me. And yeah, it's exciting. I did put out a tweet myself saying it was along the lines of, would you rather go for Rak-Sakyi at 10 million or a Czerny for your 6 million? Because I think Czerny guarantees you goals and assists. He would be probably better in a better Rangers team as well. So that'd be a bit more what I would look for, like I said at the start. But it was overwhelmingly voted for Rak-Sakyi. I think fans are excited about it. And the fact it's dragged on for a few weeks now, his name keeps rumbling away. And obviously we heard today there's concrete interest. We've got to get excited about that. I mean, you might only have one or two statement signings in a window, and it certainly would be that. So, yeah, it's an exciting one.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to laugh. See the tweets going about that were saying an absolute masterclass from Russell Martin playing Kieran Dowell on Tuesday night on right wing while the guys for the 49ers were overwatching.
It worked.
They're feeling the same as us, but we'll keep on that, Iain, right? Because Tuesday night, unbelievable result, but I probably, like you, came away feeling like, right, there's still holes in this team. There's still a long way to go to build this team. Kieran Dowell probably been the standout one on right wing who didn't have an impact, but in a Champions League qualifier, having Kieran Dowell on the right wing, with an 18-year-old in the left wing who we'll go on to talk about, did not disappoint, especially that second half. Danilo up front, who in the space of 3 years has put together 390 minutes. And we had our statement signing right back and at left back. And yeah, it was all a wee bit all over the place. So I know you commented the last video about the whole Max Aarons playing at left back thing. I think you were bang on in that we need to prioritise a left back. I think that's unanimous amongst the support. But where else can you see throughout that support that squad where we need to prioritise a position and players?
It's a few, to be honest. It sounds harsh to say goalkeeper at this point, because Butland saved us twice in particular on Tuesday night, but you always kind of have that little bit of fear. It's something JB touched on in the post-match. There was that one, I think it's just before Curtis scored actually, where Butland sort of parries it out, and there's just a split second, especially where I'm sitting the Sandy Jar in front there, where I thought, oh, hold on, that's going straight to their player, which we've seen a million times. So I think Butland would be fine for a season, but I would still rather a goalie that fits that ball playing style. And then that kind of leads me into the centre back position, because John Souttar I thought would be good at this. I thought he would be brilliant at carrying the ball out, finding the pass. And yes, he can carry a ball out, as he's done a few times, but every time he'd done it on Tuesday night, I was sort of wincing, waiting for him to give it away or just sort of dally on it. And for me, this squad and this sort of team isn't really built for Russell Martin just yet, and it's mainly because it's at the centre back for me, because it's just so key. You need to be good on the ball, you need to be quick in your passing, and he just slowed it down a little too much. And again, on the flip side, he was good defensively, got his head in a few things, got his body in the way a few things, which he does. I wouldn't be sort of super negative if John Souttar was staying, but to be like the first choice centre back in there, I don't think it's ideal. So again, it's the same position we always talk about it. It's right wing, left back, centre back, goalie. Everything else I think now is pretty comfortable. I do see some movement happening in striker position, so it just depends who leaves, which might then leave a gap to be filled. So still certainly a few question marks over certain positions, but if you're saying you need two positions right now, it's right wing and left back. That's absolute priorities for me, and hopefully we'll go back to Rak-Sakyi as the first in ticking that box.
Yeah, on the goalkeeper thing, just while we're here, it looks like Mason Munn's going to go on loan to Dunfermline. I know a lot of people have done a wee bit of moaning about it being Neil Lennon's team. We shouldn't help him out, but we're looking at the development of one of our own players. And the last time a goalkeeper went on loan to Dunfermline, it was Alan McGregor, and he came back a much better player. I actually think he got the Championship Player of the Year the year he was there, so I wouldn't be against that. But I was thinking the same as yourself, that I wonder if Jack Butland's performance the other night has maybe changed Russell Martin's mind a wee bit, that he can stay as number one here. But it looks like the interest for Pierce Charles, the Sheffield Wednesday goalkeeper, isn't really going away. But that would be an interesting one because he's am I right in saying he's the first choice for Northern Ireland? He's the number one there. So you wonder if he would come here not with the guarantees of playing first team football. I don't know, I'm a wee bit sceptical about that one unless Jack Butland moves on. The rest of the window is going to be really, really interesting. I'll go along with you with saying I don't think Suter should be first choice, but at the same time, I think he's a very good siege defender. Games like next Wednesday are going to suit him much better than games like Tuesday, but we certainly do need to sign another centre-back. I think when you look at the team, I think a Connor Cody would be absolutely perfect. Now, I don't think that one's completely dead in the water. From what we know, he had his side of the bargain, Leicester had their side, and then they moved the goalposts. And they've now brought in a new manager, but he really wants to move. He was completely sold on Russell Martin's plan, so I think that one might still play out. Also been linked with the Dutch boys at Mbuamba. So again, there's still links out there, but it's interesting that this is the first link that we've had in about in a week because we had decided all we were going to talk about was Tuesday night tonight. But we've had plenty to talk about. On the wing situation, Gassama came on the left, again Dow on the right. I think it was reported a few weeks ago, just before we signed Gassama, that we were after 3 wingers. Do you think we still need reinforcements? Because I think I look at like Oscar Cortez and think he just must be completely out the picture if he's starting Finlay Curtis ahead of him and also Dow.
Yeah, I think no one was surprised to see Curtis start. And I think that says quite a lot because this should have been Cortez's time. Like if he's not getting a game, he's not getting a start in this occasion, when technically he's a new signing, like he's officially joined just started this month, hasn't he? So he's a new signing. He should be quite excited to show what he's about, to show he's got ability, to show he's got the passion to play here. And don't get me wrong, I've not heard much negativity about how he's trained. I actually heard some decent things of how he's been getting on. So there's just obviously something missing from his game that's wasn't fancied by Clement, wasn't fancied by Ferguson. It's now Russell Martin's not even bringing him on. I think it's quite a statement when the fact we did change the wingers. And don't get me wrong, Gassama was always going to come on just to give us a lift. And I can see why Igaman and Dessers came on. So that's obviously when Dill went off. So there might have just been sort of not tonight kind of thing for Cortez. But I'd be shocked if he had a good Rangers career, which is a shame because, as I say, we've just bought the guy for 3.5 million. So if he's not going to play, he may as well loan him out, which is just a bit of a waste. We knew it was a bad signing at the time. We've all kind of made peace with that. So at this point, I would rather he was moved on loan. Obviously, no McCausland as well is going to be moving on, we're sure. So it leaves you just with sort of Gassama. Like Matondo, again, is not worth debating about anymore. We've had that chat way too many times. So I'd still say we need 2 in the right wing, which can sort of fill in for each other, and then someone else on the left. Again, I think it'd be quite unfair for me to sit and say Curtis can't be that backup left winger, but I think there's a lot of pressure to put on the guy if you're like deputy to Gassama, because Gassama's not going to play 50, 55, 60 games a season. They're going to need a solid deputy there. So for me, I'd still want 3 more, whether that's Rak-Sakyi, someone on loan, someone else on loan. Yeah, there's different ways of doing that, obviously, but we are quite light there, and especially when you consider we're going to be playing some form of European football, surely, plus all the league games, plus all the cup games. Like, we want to have good seasons. You need backup on top of that. So, yeah, hopefully there's a good few more rumours. I do think, to be fair, it's something I mentioned last week. I think it was the Tuesday pod I was on, where the recruitment has possibly took a bit of a pause just now. Sounded a bit stupid after the Rak-Sakyi chat this morning, but obviously we need to see where we are. We could be Champions League, we could be Europa League. The Champions League door just opens so much more budget-wise, player-wise, ability-wise that you can bring in right now. So if they are thinking, well, let's see where we are in 3-4 weeks' time, I'm not fully against that, to be honest. I'd rather wait and bring in the right targets at this time than either spend money we don't have or sort of undercut ourselves. So I'm not in a major rush for it, even though I'm fully conscious of the fact that we need to start the league season properly. So sort of take a risk there, absolutely.
Yeah, that's it. It's about finding the right balance, and timing can be everything. What they say about the stock market, but it's also probably the same with football market, that timing is everything. But I think you're bang on. I did have the same thought, that I wonder if our budget depends on where we are in Europe. The result Tuesday certainly helped, but Just quickly before we move on, so, we'll get a couple of hundred viewers here. We're busy tonight, busy in the comments as well. So really pleased to have you all with us. Please remember to subscribe. I'm seeing a lot of new names commenting as well. It's our pleasure to have you along the way, but please remember to subscribe. It goes a long way. And also, if you're listening on the audio platforms, not so live, this goes out the next morning. Also, please remember to follow us so that you get the notification and you're first to get it, so that the news is fresh. Not only that, Iain, you've been busy this week behind the scenes. Do you want to let our following know what you've been up to?
Yeah, so the podcast has started a Discord chat. Long time coming, kind of thing. We've been looking to do it for a while, so it's been a decent start. There's good numbers in there already. There's different categories. There's the transfer ones. There's FPL stuff. You have FIFA's Football Manager, and then just a general main chat. Just a sort of space to chat about the game, chat about the upcoming games, follow on from podcasts, all these kind of stuff. So it's well worth joining, and hopefully that will just go from strength to strength as the weeks come on.
Yeah, for me, it creates a community with the rest of the Is Ibrox stuff. We see sort of the usual names in the comment chatting away to each other. So why not have a place where you can chat whenever you want, rather than just when we're live and we can actually get involved? It's quite difficult for us to be live on here and get involved with every single comment. So yeah, the link is in the description. It's also on our X page. Not sure if it's on our Facebook page or that yet, but we will get round to that. So let's jump back into things, Ian. Back to Tuesday night, and as well, sorry, else flashes up on the screen. David Lewis, done, subscribed, thank you. Martin, done, subscribed, thank you very much. We really appreciate that. We really, really do. So back to Tuesday night. We were touching on Finlay Curtis there. First half, bit of a so. You could say, I think Russell Martin said he was tense. He epitomised the team in the first half. He decided to keep him on. I think a lot would have said, right, 18-year-old, he's found it tough the first half. Maybe take him off, save him for another day. We probably might not have seen him for a wee while. Comes back out the second half, a different player. He's obviously took instructions really well. And I thought he had an excellent second half. Got the ball rolling with a superb goal. And then Boy picks up the second yellow card due to his outstanding first touch on the inside. Talk about living the dream, Ian. I'm gushing over him because I think it resonates a wee bit more when it's a Rangers fan and you're watching in front, and how long we've been starved of a youth player that can go and do something and do it on this stage. I think you'll be feeling the same as me. I'm absolutely buzzing for him.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's been at the club longer than Tav. So there's a fun fact for everybody. He's been at the club since he was 6. So it's properly like fairy tale stuff. It's the dream. It's so special because how many times over the years have we seen a decent talent coming through and you start hearing about them and then suddenly they're getting the move down south. You know, we saw Wilson go to Villa, we saw Gilmour go to Chelsea, obviously. The 2 boys that just left for Newcastle in the summer there. So it was quite painful, the fact you put this investment and time into so many players and they just go down south. And you can't berate a guy for doing that. Like, it's life-changing money they're getting. Certainly not that. But to have a guy like this who's been at the club since he was 6 years old, gets his debut last season, never really let us down last season in any game. You know, I remember him playing wing-back up at Aberdeen and was decent on the day. So he's put his time in there. And yeah, it's fairy tale stuff. I can't lie, I was one of the ones wanting him off at half-time because I thought the game was not too much for him, but he was just playing a little bit safe, a little bit reserved, and intense is a really good word for it, but understandably, like, it's a big occasion for the club, let alone an 18-year-old. So fair play to him. Came back out in that second half. He was incredible, and it was really special, really, because you see him score, and you touched on it yourself. I know you're sitting quite close to it, but you just see him physically get a lift. You see him wanting the ball. Just that feeling must be unrivaled. And then obviously interviews after it are pretty special stuff. His mum and dad were crying when he found out he's starting, let alone scoring the goal that gets us on our way. So it's properly incredible stuff. I said it before, I would not be averse to him being a part of the squad going forward this season. I'd like a little bit more in that position just to keep the competition up, but no, it's superb to see, and it's what you want to see more of. Like, if we can bring in a player or two every few years who has that ability, who can affect the squad. They don't have to all be a Nathan Patterson, don't have to all be your Alan Huttons who make you multi-million pounds. They can be useful squad players who might move on in a few years, might just stick around and be part of the squad. It just gives you a bit more faith in the academy, because we've been crying out for that kind of thing for years now. So hopefully there's a few more in the pipeline, but no, delighted for him.
Yeah, in that case, I think I touched on it when from where I sit. I'm a wee bit along for you. Well, unofficially, I'm a wee bit along from you towards the halfway line. I was sitting with my cousin the other night, so we're about 10 rows from the front, and the players leave their bottles in front of us. So maybe about 5 to 10 minutes after the goal, he was coming over at a break and play and getting, like, taking a drink. He's looking at it. Obviously, everybody's reacting to him, but he couldn't stop grinning, and you could see him wiping his arms as if it was like goosebumps, and you could just see it play out in his head that, like, what have I done here? But see, for an 18-year-old, you've got to imagine the pressure there. It's almost like he just gets on with it because this is what he was born to do. He's been doing it since he was 6, but the magnitude of that game and the pressure surrounding that game, for him to go and do what he done, like, how many times have you seen, like you say, a youth player go out there and be safe? That one where he's cut inside and he's just whipped it round, slight deflection, scores the first goal of the Russell Martin era. That'll appear in some quiz in a few years' time. How many young players would you just see go and pop that off nice and safe, try and show for it again in the box? But he's certainly got the attitude in which to kick on. It needs a wee bit of luck and everything to come together, but I think along with everyone else, not quite a starter yet, but give him his opportunities. These big moments in games like this are what will make him a player, and I've been really impressed with him. I was lucky enough to do the Bruges game, and he was the player that we got in the press conference, and he spoke so well, so mature for such a young guy. So I really want him to do well, and I can only wish him the best. But on Tuesday, Iain, something a wee bit new, not only the new signings, but this new style of play. I don't know about you, but round about me, there was a lot of moans and groans. The type I refer to as the Rangers Daz of the support. Couldn't quite, us. But one finger pointing out and 3 pointing back. It was quite unusual to get used to it. Last year we were screaming out for a style and a structure and for the players to know what they're doing. Certainly got style on Tuesday night, and it maybe took a wee while for it to click, and it clicked the second half. What were your first impressions of how Russell Martin set the team out and the style of play on its own?
I think the first 10 minutes or so, I was loving it. I think you saw the short passing, the movement. It was quite crafty. There's a lot of good things. I thought it was almost surprising how good it looked from the off, because I mean, I've been quite vocal. This squad doesn't suit that style for me just yet. So to see it live in action, see the movement, I thought this is working. But it was as if one little sort of, I can't remember if it was Aaron's maybe, sort of gave the ball away, or was like dallying on the ball. They had a good chance. I think it's when they hit the post, and it was just, you saw everyone go, well, like other players sort of had a little, well, that was close. There was a bit of nervousness, and just from that next 15, 20 minutes or so, it wasn't quite clicking. Everyone was a bit tense, and you're going to get some comments, sort of fans not happy with it, or think we should do things quicker or move it forward quicker. I get all that, and I agree with that on the night. I think we're a wee bit too slow and too safe when we start getting spooked. Again, certain personnel doesn't help. It doesn't suit certain players. I don't think Aaron's was very comfortable moving in, sort of being that centre mid. Even though it did work in moments, I don't think that's his game. So I think we need a different option there. We touched on Dowell. I mean, we can't stress the fact that he shouldn't be starting games at this level for Rangers anymore. It's not going to work. It doesn't matter how good you are in training. I'm sure he's brilliant in training when there's no pressure, there's no expectation. It's very different doing it in front of 50,000 demanding fans, isn't it? So yeah, there's certain players that have to get out, and I think at least we see what Russell Martin's trying to do. Albeit he's not got the squad to do it. He's not got the perfect sort of concoction for it just yet. He saw enough promise, and then I think it's well documented. He had a go at them at half time, not in a sort of screaming, shouting way, but maybe just tell it to be a bit braver, take a bit more risks. And I think that second goal in particular, which I'm sort of jumping the agenda a little bit, but that second goal is top class. I mean, how many times last season would we have seen that pass from Aaron's move forward, like a man's ball in field, and suddenly it would just sort of slow up, maybe go back to the defender, take our time? No, it was very much, we're getting forward here. Where's the man in space? There you are. Where's the man in space? Go again. And as soon as Gassama picked up that ball, you just sort of, you felt everyone go, well, hang on, we've got a chance here. And, you know, we'll come on to have a bit more detail, obviously, but it was certainly pleasing. And the only bad thing on the night for me was the fact we didn't get the third and fourth to properly kill things off, which if you'd offered me that at half-time, if I was offered that pre-game, I'd have bit your hand off for it. So can't complain. It's a positive start, and it's one of those things that hopefully just over the next few months just develops and gets better, especially with certain personnel that I'm sure are going to come in.
Yeah, the thing for me is kind of the magnitude of the result, and we'll get on to can we finish it off, but it really felt like the day before we got the draw, quite a favourable draw. If we get through to the next round, Panathinaikos or Servette, like you're taking that as well if we can get it. The fact that Russell Martin wasn't people's first choice as manager, like there is some idiots out there that want him to fail just so they can prove a point. Like certainly, I'm certainly not one of them. I want him to succeed. And just everything around how the squad, we haven't signed enough players, we've not signed a striker, we've not signed a right winger, Kyran Dow starting, all the negatives were sort of there for the media and everyone else to jump. So the magnitude of winning sort of 2-0 and the repercussions of where we could land in Europe from that is huge for me. Now, next Wednesday is going to be massive for us. 2-0 is an outstanding lead. The next goal will make the game interesting. I think if we score over there, we're ultimately through, regardless of when it is. But it's going to be tough. 40-degree heat they're looking at over there. What chances do you give us, Iain?
I'd say I've got to be favourites. I mean, it's a hard one because Rangers over the years have been notoriously good away from home in Europe. Like we've really punched above our weight more than once. That's always been with a certain style, that sort of counter-attacking, playing a bit safe, a bit cautious, and then hitting teams. I don't know if Russell Martin would play like that. Maybe, he's not played in Europe. Russell Martin is still his first away European tie, so maybe he has a plan B here, but I'd be quite happy to just try and play that kind of cautious way. But like you say, if we score a goal, which I do fancy us to do, I mean, don't get me wrong, that front three the other night, I wasn't too confident we'd get a goal. Curtis shut me up, so fair play to him. But hopefully if you've kind of got another week in Egerman, a week in Dessers, Gassama would be a big player to start. You never know what will happen transfer-wise, obviously, before then as well. So I think the squad, or the first 11, might be a little bit stronger as well next Wednesday to the other night there. So, yeah, I don't want to say I'd be surprised, but I expect us to go through. I've got faith in this team. There's enough know-how in there. Like if you look at Butland, Tav, Suter, Raskin, Diomande, these guys have sort of been there and done it. They've won in tougher grounds. Panathinaikos aren't playing in their usual stadium as well, which is always a little bonus. The cards are with us at the moment for me. I don't see a team in Europe beating us by 3 goals kind of thing. So get that goal, like you say, and we should be fine. Don't get me wrong, 5 minutes before kick-off, I'll be sitting there nervous, anxious, all the rest of it. But I've got faith in the team. And he touched on it. Russell Martin needed that win. I think it's at least bought him some space and the fans can go, okay, fair enough. And a positive result Wednesday night, even if that's a draw, it's going to carry on because you said it yourself, that Posen or Servette game, obviously Servette won that, I think rather surprisingly. So that game's worth, what, £5 or £6 million on its own, isn't it? So
yeah, plus what we would get automatically from being in Europa League. So course, I'm going to bring this comment up because I was thinking it and I didn't really want to say it, so I'll blame it on Andrew. They aren't a great side. We will definitely score. I didn't want to just say this, but now that Andrew's in it with me, we'll do it together. It wasn't like the Fenerbahce game. I didn't feel that, right, okay, we've got Offway on there. They're a very good side. I didn't really buy the hype watching Panathinaikos. Like, now, I really hope I don't regret saying that, but there was nothing that really stood out to me.
If you look at their best chance on the night, it tended to come from us, like giving them the ball in dangerous position, which we could do again, don't get me wrong. But I never remember a time where they like cut us open or it was great play or they were a major threat from X kind of thing. It was more, we were dialing, they took it up and suddenly it was 2v2 or 3v2 to them going forward. So if Butland is in good form, which he's got to be buzzing with confidence, then like I said, I don't see them scoring more than 2 goals against us. So score first and we'll be absolutely sound.
That's it. As easy as that, Iain. But we've chatted for long enough. We've fast approached the 30-minute mark. As brilliant as ever, Iain. As brilliant as ever to all our loyal commenters and viewers. And thank you for joining us. If you haven't already, like I say, please remember to subscribe on your podcast platforms. Please remember to follow us and also get involved in our Discord. It will be in the description section on YouTube and the description section wherever you get your podcasts. But leaves me nothing more to say than good night.